Okay, we are going to do 6.1, numbers 10 and 13. So it says for problem 10 and 11, divide out the common factors. And then 13 is the same thing except for you're multiplying first. So the first thing that I do that I recognize is that I I I always like X in front because I don't like when the numbers are in front because it could make you think that you're done when you're not. Okay. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to switch people around so that it says negative x squared. I'm going to do it up here too. Um, so we got negative x squared plus 16 over 6x minus 24. So then now I can start factoring. I don't ever like my x squareds to be negative, so I'm going to factor him out too. So I'm going to go negative and then x squared minus 16, which you guys should be like, oh my gosh, Miss Johnson, I know him. And you're right. Okay, so this is how I like my factors to be. I like x squareds in the front. I don't like x squared to be negative because now I can factor, right? I'm just going to keep pulling this negative down, 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 right? So now I'm going to move on to, let's see. I know it's going to be negative x plus 4 and x minus 4 on the top. And on the bottom, what's the greatest common factor here? You're thinking, what can I undistribute? And so the answer is 6, and that's x minus 4. And then you're like, oh, Ms. Johnson, I see a common factor here. And so, yes, you can divide out. So my answer is negative parentheses x plus 4 close divided by 6. Now, people play with this negative. You can put them out in front. You can put them on the numerator. You can put them on the denominator. It'll all be the same. But that's all you have here. So other ways, by the way, for you to check your answers to make sure that your answer is correct is if you were to graph both of those. And I'm going to play around with Desmos to see if I can get Desmos to listen to me on here. Oh, good. Okay. So this is a little bit tinier because I'm using my iPad, but you all will see. So it's 16 minus x squared. And then I need this to be in parentheses so I can divide by 6x minus 24. So this is what I get here, right? This line. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. Now, sometimes they'll be a little bit off because of the kind of like the holes that you'll get because of your domain, but it'll give you a pretty good picture on what to expect. So I'm just going to make sure that I copied it correctly. Negative x plus 4 over 6 and 16 minus x squared, 6x minus 24. So if I turn off the blue one right here, I get the red. And if I put it back on, it's right on top of it. So I did a really good job of simplifying. And now I checked my answer and they're both exactly the same. Okay. So here is number 13. So number 13 is asking for you to multiply and then simplify. I don't do it like that. I simplify, I factor, and then I multiply. Because if I can start canceling out and dividing out some of those common factors, then it's less work on my part, right? So I'm going to go up to the numerator, to the denominator, to the numerator, and to the denominator and factor everything out that I possibly can. So I'm going to start with the top left. And I'm like, oh, both of them have a 9. So I get 9 parentheses x plus 3. I move to the bottom and I'm like, hey, you have a common factor of 2. So I'm going to divide out that 2 first. So I get x squared plus 4x plus 4. And then I say, hey, can you be factored anymore? And I'm like, yeah, you can. So I'm going to think of what 2 numbers multiply to get to this 4, but then add to get to this 4. And it's 2 and 2. So here's x plus 2, x plus 2. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the top over here. So I'm going to take out a common factor, and I think that would be 4 parentheses x squared minus 4. And then I ask, hey, can I factor out that x squared minus 4 anymore? And then I'm like, yeah, of course I can. So that's 4 parentheses x plus 2, x minus 2. So this is all about pattern recognition. Like every time I see x squared minus something, that's a difference of squares. So I'm gonna split this x squared up into x and x, and I'm gonna split up this 4 into 2 times 2 because of the structure. So this is a pattern that you should memorize. If you don't memorize it, it means that you're going to run to factoring every single time as opposed to just kind of like knowing it. Okay, last but not least, I'm going to factor out this other guy. I'm running out of colors here. So I go 6 parentheses x plus 3, and then I start canceling out anything that is on top and on bottom. Okay. So I notice this is x plus 3 and that's an x plus 3, so I can cancel those. I shouldn't say cancel, I should say divide out. So I'm going to divide out those. Right? I see that x plus 2. Let me use a different color. This x plus 2 and this x plus 2. And someone says, hey, Ms. Johnson, can x plus 2 cancel with x minus 2? The answer is no. They got to be exactly the same. Okay, so that can't cancel. I do see this 4 divided by 2 is 2. And I do see this 9 and 6. If I divide them by 3, I get 3 here and 2 here. So let's see what I have left so far. I have this 3, this 2, this x minus 2. I have this x plus 2, and I have this 2. I'm looking for more stuff that I have, but that's all I got. So here's my answer so far. 3 times 2 is 6 parentheses x minus 2. And on the bottom, I just have 2 parentheses x plus 2. And then now I'm like, hey, I can simplify a little bit more. So I divide these out and I'm left with 3. So my final answer is 3 parentheses x minus 2 over x plus 2. There's my answer. If you wanted to, you can totally, oops, that's me. You could totally, I didn't want to do halfies, but that's okay. You could totally plug this in. I don't want to plug it in because I'm on an iPad. So you would plug this in. You would go crazy in terms of like all of these buttons that you would have to push to verify that you're right. So I'm going to do numerator and then denominator. I'm going to put the denominator in parentheses just to make sure that I get everything correct. I really do love Desmos for the fact that it's a live calculator. So it's constantly updating. Like right now, that's what that function looks like. It looks crazy, doesn't it? Doesn't that function look like, ooh, it's crazy. Okay. And then I'm going to multiply that by parentheses 4x squared minus 16 divided by, I said I wasn't going to do it, but now I'm done. Plus 18. But I like practicing what I preach. I tell you guys to do this. There's your answer. I think I entered it incorrectly. I can't see. There it goes. 4x squared. Okay. And then I'm going to check with my answer down here, which is 3 parentheses x minus 2 close divided by x plus 2. And if you notice, they sit right on top of each other. So I'm really satisfied with that. So that's how I check my answer. Hope that makes sense. Thanks for listening.